Here we go. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. And no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. Our coverage from the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis continues right here on the show. And speaking of the Combine, could the Niners draft a legacy Niner? We're talking family business here on the show. Luke McCaffrey, Rice wide receiver. We talked to him. He's met with the Niners multiple times here in the pre-draft process. The same can be said for Brenden Rice, USC wide receiver and the right-hand man for Caleb Williams. He had a formal interview with San Francisco. And Frank Gore Jr., Southern Miss running back, who was incredibly productive over the last 4 years, expected to be a late-round pick, he had an informal meeting with the Niners. Now, obviously, you look at all three of those names on the screen, they ring a bell. Luke McCaffrey, the brother of Christian McCaffrey. Brenden Rice, the son of the GOAT, Jerry Rice. And Frank Gore Jr., the son of the legendary Niners running back Frank Gore Sr., who's third all-time in the history of the National Football League in rushing yards. And these are realistic targets for San Francisco. As we like to say here on this show, just because the Niners have met with some of these players about 200 feet to my right throughout the pre-draft process doesn't mean that they're interested in all of them. And they're probably doing McCaffrey, Brenden Rice, and Frank Gore Jr. right by meeting with them because they have relationships with their family members. But it's certainly fascinating because the Niners could use another wide receiver. They could use a backup running back, and they could fulfill those spots with some really intriguing prospects here. Here in Indianapolis for the Combine, they've met with all of these players, and some more information on Luke McCaffrey. Pretty interesting path for him. Started his career as a quarterback at Nebraska. He spent 2 years there. It didn't work out, so what did he do? He transferred to a lower level of competition. He also changed positions and made the switch to wide receiver, where in the last 2 years, very, very productive player at a small school level. He totaled 126 catches, nearly 1,700 yards, and 18 touchdowns. Now, it's funny because he sounds just like Christian McCaffrey. He looks like his dad, Ed McCaffrey, and he's a little bit shorter than his dad, but definitely taller than his brother in Christian McCaffrey. It's funny how genes work, right? He's 6'2". He played inside, outside wide receiver with Rice. So a perimeter wide receiver, operated out of the slot, good route runner, really turned up during the Senior Bowl. And I think his speed and when he runs on Saturday could be a determining factor in where he goes. Mid-round pick, late-round pick, is he going to get drafted at all? Definitely fascinated to see that. But San Francisco was equipped here with 11 picks in the 2024 draft, and they've mastered the compensatory pick formula, which comes into play in the mid to later rounds on day 3. Maybe they could use one of those selections on Luke McCaffrey, who Christian McCaffrey said opening night of Super Bowl 58 on Monday at Allegiant Stadium, it'd be a dream come true to play for my brother. And Luke said the same thing today. Now, for me specifically, I asked him, Christian is a running back, but he's so talented as an overall weapon. And I think his footwork is surgical as a wide receiver coming out of the backfield or out of the slot. So I asked Luke if Christian has helped him in that regard and how he's helped him in the pre-draft process.
Be the right way.
From a route running standpoint, Christian is so unique. Obviously, he plays running back, but great footwork with his route running. Has he been able to help you in that regard at all, and what kind of advice has he given you throughout this process?
Definitely. He seems to not just do route running, but he seems to do just about everything right. And so, you can't learn something from him. I think, you're off, right? And so it's been awesome to be able to take tips from him, take tips from my dad and my older brothers, who all kind of have different styles, right? And so to sort of be able to blend that together has been such a great gift.
And we talk about the family genes, all the McCaffrey brothers, studs. But where does it come from? Ed McCaffrey, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He played under Mike Shanahan. They were hoisting Lombardi trophies in the Mile High City with the Denver Broncos. Ed McCaffrey was a really good wide receiver, second-team All-Pro. He was catching footballs from John Elway in the 90s, and he was named as a second-team All-Pro in 1998. You have Christian McCaffrey, 2,000 all-purpose yards this year, led the NFL in carries, led the NFL in rushing yards. He's undisputedly the best running back in football right now. And then Lisa McCaffrey, the mom, Stanford soccer star. I mean, my goodness. Great genes right there. I love my family, but it would have been cool to be a McCaffrey as well. Between the Senior Bowl and the Combine, McCaffrey telling me today that he's met with the Niners on multiple occasions. So some level of interest from San Francisco to Luke McCaffrey. Next, Brenden Rice. He had a formal meeting with San Francisco. So the wide receivers meeting with the media here today, and that's when Brenden Rice told me, yes, I've met formally with the Niners. Here he is with his pops, the GOAT, number 80, Jerry Rice, best wide receiver in the history of football, in my opinion, with his son, number 2, who was pretty much the number 1 option for USC this year, and Caleb Williams, even though that offense took a step back, and they weren't great at the wide receiver position as compared to previous years when they've had ballers at that position. Brenden Rice, 2 years at Colorado and then 2 years at USC. That's been his collegiate path. And I'd say he's not quite a second-round pick on Friday of the NFL draft. I'd say more so he's a day 3 pick. His production this past year was very, very solid. And that USC season, so hard to kind of gauge and decipher how good or how bad they were. The defense under Alex Grinch, who's a fraud of a defensive coordinator, he got fired mid-year by Lincoln Riley. They're giving up like 50 points per game, right? So the offense was playing catch-up so much, and they weren't quite as consistent as previous years. But Brenden Rice, good year. 45 catches, 791 yards, 12 touchdowns. So he found pay dirt a lot, 17.5 yards per catch. I'd say as compared to his dad, he might be a little thicker, or as some people might like this word, a little bit girthier. 6'3", 205. His dad, 6'2", 200 pounds. Jerry, probably faster, though. Very fleet of foot, and the game speed was awesome. In the pre-draft process, Jerry Rice didn't really test all that well. I'm interested to see how Brenden Rice tests. Now, in these media scrums, there are hundreds of people sometimes crowding these prospects. Like the crowd around Caleb Williams today was wild. The crowd around Brenden Rice was also a large one for a projected day 3 pick. Did have an opportunity, though, to ask him a couple of questions. Talked about whether or not he's met with the Niners. He said yes. Asked him about Kyle Shanahan's offense, but also Brock Purdy grew up in the same hometown as Brenden Rice. They have a relationship. Can you imagine if that relationship goes from the hometown in Arizona to the San Francisco 49ers?
Opportunity to meet formally with San Francisco?
Meet formally with
the 49ers?
Yes, I have.
How was that meeting? And obviously a lot of ties with your father playing there. What has he told you about the Niners organization, and how was that meeting?
Man, it was ecstatic just to go ahead and go back and forth over some of the topics, how I can get better, how I can contribute to the 49ers team, and just to be a part of what my dad left a legacy at.
What do you think about their offense with Kyle Shanahan? He's a very creative play designer and play caller.
It's super dynamic. You have a whole lot of threats over there, and just to be a part of that offense, to know that I'm going with guys that are Pro Bowlers and some maybe future Hall of Famers, as well as Brock Purdy. You know, he's from Chandler, Arizona, my hometown, and just competing with him back in the day, throwing with him at lessons with Gio, and just it's kind of a nostalgic moment.
What'd you make of what Brock Purdy was able to do this year?
Man, like he went out there and competed. That's who he's always been. He's gone and competed against whoever. It doesn't matter the opportunity. He's going to take the most and make the most of it. And that's the type of person you want around a team that can go ahead and duplicate multipliers.
You see why I'm excited about this show. How cool is this? We talk Luke McCaffrey, we talk Brenden Rice, and now we round out with Frank Gore Jr. Not quite as big as his father, Frank Gore Sr. He even said, our games differ a little bit. You'll hear from Frank Gore Jr. coming up here in just a little while. He's also a little bit shorter, but has more finesse and a little bit more speed to his game. Here's the son, Junior, and the pops, Senior, embracing at Southern Miss. And Frank Gore Jr. grew up in Florida. Somehow, just like his pops, honestly, at the NFL level, he was overshadowed going into college. He goes to Southern Miss, had opportunities to transfer elsewhere in this transfer portal era. He stuck with Southern Miss because he said, I really like playing here. His pops, third all-time in rushing yards, 16,000 right on the dot. How cool is that? honestly, he gets too much slander. Some people say he's not a future Hall of Famer. I think he is. Some people say his numbers are inflated just because he was in the league so long. How about you look at the production? Longevity is part of what makes players great. Look at LeBron James. My man entered the NBA when he was 2003. He's still balling in his late 30s, and his yards per carry is also very solid. 4 years again at Southern Miss for Frank Gore Jr., and production, very, very solid. For me, he's probably a late round pick because he is a little bit smaller, doesn't bring the thump that Frank Gore did. But the college numbers, Trace, if we can go back to that, sometimes that's what it comes down to, right? Just steady, consistent, elite production. Southern Miss, 759 carries in 4 years, more than 4,000 yards. That's good for more than 1,000 yards per year. You know I don't like math. I love money. I don't like math. More than 4,000 yards, though, in 4 seasons. 10 touchdowns and 5.3 yards per carry. Every time he got the ball, he's basically picking up a half first down every single time. So, again, projected late rounder, I'd say, for Frank Gore Jr. If he doesn't get drafted at all, that could happen. I'd be a little bit surprised because if I'm San Francisco, what's the backup running back look like behind Christian McCaffrey? The Niners clearly don't trust Jordan Mason as a pass protector and a pass blocker. You let go of Ty Davis-Price, and Elijah Mitchell's always hurt. So could Frank Gore Jr. be the option? So we're going to round out the show with a full interview with Frank Gore Jr. That's coming up right now. Thanks to everybody for watching. But if you're a real one, you'll watch Junior right now.
Frank, how long have you been preparing for this moment here?
I've been preparing for this moment all my life. Blessed to be here, so I've been working hard for this all my life.
How does it feel to be here representing Coconut Grove?
Oh, it's a blessing, man. Not too many be here, coming from where I'm come from, so just trying to put on for the 305 for sure.
Frank, what's your go-to food spot in Hattiesburg?
Canes for sure. Canes.
You 4-piece, 3-piece?
6. I'll do the whole 6.
How's your dad helped you throughout this process?
Just helping me weather the storm, helping me knowing what to look for, what not to look for, knowing what to do, what not to do. So he's been there every way of the step for sure, and definitely had my back throughout every step.
How would you describe your running style?
I'm pretty similar to my dad. We have our similarities, but we're also different in a way. But yeah, we're pretty similar. I'll say he groomed me, so of course we're similar.
What is one of those differences that you have with your dad?
I'll say I'm more agile, a little bit more lateral movement. He's more of a thumper, but other than that, we're pretty similar.
You were under-recruited out of Killian. A lot of teams slept on you. How do you feel like you overcame that adversity, as early on in your college career?
I just put all the doubt out the window. I know I always believed in myself, come from Killian. There wasn't really too many running backs in high school who was doing better than me, so I knew what it was and had that chip on my shoulder and carried with me everywhere to step. Even I still got it though for sure.
Frank, seeing
Oh, that'll be blessed. That's hometown, so I'll be ready to put on for my hometown. I ain't get to do it in college, so if I get to do it in the NFL, that'll be great.
Have you met the head coach already?
I met with the Dolphins. I don't know which coach, but I met with the Dolphins for sure.
seeing that your dad is in a NFL scouting department, are you getting some inside information about how the NFL views you?
Nah, he can't do that. He just helped me become a pro. Nothing inside though.
Do you get to see him at all? Do you get to see him at all this week? I mean, he's working, you're working.
Yeah, I've been with him. I've seen him in the hallway a few times. We talked a few times. He called me, but we'll probably get together after tomorrow. So yeah.
Frank, is there any downside to being Frank's son? I mean, he set such a high bar for the name Frank Gore. 16,000 yards and all that.
I'm gonna set a higher bar for it, Frank Gore. I'm gonna put that name on the map too. But there's no pressure, no nothing. I embrace the pressure. Whatever people try to make it, that's what I'm gonna take it as. So yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
How would you describe South Florida football? Somebody not familiar with it.
Oh, we the best. We the best down there. Great talent, especially in the skill position wise. I feel like there's no another state who could compete with us in the skill position. So yeah.
Frank, at times at Southern Miss, you would actually take reps at quarterback. Were you comfortable with that? Did that help you at all, like seeing the game from a different angle?
For sure. I did it in high school as well. I've been playing quarterback almost all my life, so I'm pretty familiar with the quarterback. Just doing it at college was just on a bigger platform, but I've been doing it pretty much my whole life.
Frank, have you met with Tampa Bay this week?
Tampa Bay? No, I actually met with them at the East-West Shrine Bowl game. I met with them a couple times there, but none this week.
Frank, you met with the 49ers?
Yes. Yes.
Informally?
Informally. Yes, sir.
Frank, if you could be an animal for 24 hours, what animal would you be?
A lion for sure.
Why a lion?
I mean, we the king of the jungle.
What do you remember about your dad's time here? What do you remember about your dad's playing time when he was here?
Oh, I came up here a lot. It was cold, always cold when I came up here. They had a good team with the Andrew Luck guys. They never got over the hump, but yeah, Indy was a great atmosphere for sure.
What would it mean to you if you do get your name called for a team that your dad played for?
Oh, that'll be a blessing. Get to be able to put the Gore back on the uniform. That'll be a blessing, and I'll be ready to put that name, move it further than it already is.
Who are your top 5 running backs of all time?
Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, and who I'm gonna go with? I don't know. I don't know that fifth. There's a lot with the fifth, so I'm gonna just leave that one open.
Just curious, did you have all of your dad's, like, younger versions of your dad's jerseys growing up?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Yeah, you rock like a Colts Gore jersey?
No, I got the Colts jersey. I got the Dolphins jersey, but I stopped there.
How familiar are you with Jim Harbaugh from your dad's time with the Niners?
I met him a few times. I know he's a great coach. He won the national title this year, so I know he's a great coach. I met him a few times. He seems like a good person for sure.
Who are your top 5 Dade County players?
Oh, Dade County High School? I'm going to go Johnny Ford. I'm going to go Duke Johnson, Amari Cooper, Dalvin Cook, and then who we going to go? I'm going to throw my boy Cam Kitchens in there. I'm going to throw my boy Cam in there.
What would Little League Frank Gore Jr., high school Frank Gore Jr. say about the moment that you're in today?
Oh, that's too far ahead. I never seen me being this. But with hard work and just keep going through it every day, taking it step by step, I got here and I'm ready to take it further for sure.
Frank, your dad was kind of known as a football genius. Like, he sees something and he remembers it. He's just really on top of it. Did you get some of that, or has he helped you kind of learn the game like he knows the game?
Yeah, I know the game for sure. I know the game like the back of my hand, the ins and outs of it. I wouldn't say he helped me because I have to go through it myself, but I probably got it, probably in my genes from him. But yeah, I know the game like the back of my hand.
Frank, obviously, Dad played forever. We're all sitting here. We don't know what goes into the work. We're just like, wow, how's he playing so long? But you actually see him at home. What, like, you see him in pain, you see all the stuff. Can you explain the stuff that we don't understand, what it goes in to play running back for that long?
It's just a lot of hard work, a lot of taking care of your body, a lot of things that I can't really explain. But
What does it look like?
What does it look like? It's all day, all year thing. Like, it never stops with him. Treatment, it's like that guy's like a robot. So it's like I seen it all. So I'm gonna try to take those same steps so I can have close to hopefully the same career.
Robot like how?